Welcome back to Respect the Process. I am Kelly Hunter, and I am lucky enough to be sitting next to the voice of Crimson Tide Athletics, Chris Stewart. How are you?
I'm great. It's my honor. Always great to sit with you.
I'm going to credit you with the assist on Saturday night. I even put your name on here, Chris Stewart.
What did I do?
With the assist. You assisted in the win with Alabama. So? With Alabama getting a nice win against Kentucky on Saturday.
What did I do?
Come on. You're as much a part of the team as anyone.
Oh,
hey, Chris.
yeah, absolutely. Yeah.
And if you don't believe that,
then you're wise. If you don't believe that.
No. Good win, good team effort.
It was fun to see them play well after not as bad of a start. You know, we joked we're up 2-0 and felt like we ought to stop, take a picture of the scoreboard because it's the first time in 3 games Alabama had. I say that. I believe they had. No, that's right. They didn't lead at all against Missouri. Didn't lead at all against Auburn.
Yeah. We're going to talk more about that. I like my one son after the Missouri game said, "Mom, are they going to practice tomorrow?" I said probably, and he's like, "I think if I were the coach, I'd just say we need to start better." I was like, well, that's very succinct of you to say, to start better.
And you know, part of what they were looking to do against Missouri was that, but to have a definitive plan. It's not like walking in and going, "Hey guys, we can't fall behind 9-0 again," and you've got no answer
Teamwork
for it.
on 3.
Yeah, teamwork. Yeah. Let's go. But they did change their lineup, and I was in the room when Nate was talking to the players about it. He goes, "It's." I think he was taking Jaron, and there may have been another player that didn't start in the Missouri game after they had started against Auburn. And he said, "Jaron, this has nothing to do with you." And I don't share, when I'm in those, I don't share much, but I think it's pretty good. He goes, "Jaron, you know, coming off of actually a pretty good ball game." He said, "It doesn't have anything to do with you, but we're trying to get our personnel rotation better, and we need to start the rotation at a different spot." So again, they've got all the analytics and all this stuff, and you're thinking, okay, here we go. And one of the reasons for it was he wanted to have somebody in the game that would allow Mark Sears to play off the ball, so that Mark doesn't have to create his own shot quite as much. Right. So they lay that out. They give up a 3 the first trip down the floor from Missouri. They knock that down. You're down 3-0, I think it was. You come back the other way. LeBaron Philon looks off Mark Sears wide open in the corner. And I'm not picking on LeBaron. I'm just giving an example of the frustration of coaches. You you switch the lineup for this purpose so you can get Mark Sears more shots. And the freshman point guard looks him off, tried to throw it to Cliff Amore on a line through 2 defenders. Yeah. You know, Cliff was guarded. The All-American was wide open in the corner.
And when you force the pass.
You force it, and instead of getting the open 3 from the All-American, you have a turnover going the other way, and suddenly you're down 6-0. Then you're down 12-0. Yeah. And look, LeBaron's a great player. He's going to have a phenomenal career. He had one of the best defensive plays. I mean, he just flat out took the ball from Otega Owe against of Kentucky on Saturday in a great move and got a bucket, and it came at a big time as well. That being said, still a young kid, still going to make mistakes, but that's got to be beyond. I know it's beyond frustrating for a coach.
Well, and I think so. Coach Oates laid out 3 things that are going to get you taken out of the game, and I think that this is probably universal for most coaches. Number 1, give low effort. Number 2, ignore the scouting report. And number 3, turn the ball over.
Yeah.
So what happens against Kentucky? 1 minute in, Philon gets pulled. Now he gets pulled, he gets subbed out for Aiden Holloway. Aiden goes in. A couple minutes later, but Philon goes back in. And it's like, do we have to remind you one more time? What are the 3 things? Don't ignore the scouting report. Don't turn the ball over. And so sometimes, as you and I both know, if you've ever, and it doesn't even matter if you played basketball, any sport.
You got kids.
Sometimes you see things more clearly from the bench.
Yeah, exactly.
You have to sit, have the coach jaw at you, watch the game, and you're going, oh.
Yeah, there's no better teacher than the bench. And it really is like parenting because you can tell them the right thing to do all the time, and there's no guarantee they're going to do it. Telling them that they're not supposed to, you better take the garbage out. You better do whatever your chore, whatever your assignment is. You better not exceed the speed limit when you're a 16-year-old driver because I have Life 360 and I can tell if you have. Yeah. And you take those keys away, suddenly they learn. They learn next time better. You come out of the ball game for not hustling, for turning it over, then you'll find yourself on the bench. It's a luxury Nate does have, though, that he can take LeBaron Philon out and go with one of the best three-point shooters in the country in Aiden Holloway. And then when Aiden messes up, he can put another former McDonald's All-American in, LeBaron Philon, to replace him. And those guys they're smart kids. Yeah. They're going to learn. They do. But when you mess up what you've invested so much time to go over, coaches are going to go nuts. And I see it, especially when we're right next to the bench against Missouri. Prime example.
Did he throw the clipboard or did it just slip?
Oh, he 100% reared back through it. It had zero to do with the officiating. He understood completely the officials were going to tee him up because they're talking at center court, or they're about to get together at center court because a timeout had been called, and Nate slammed the clipboard down, and they look over at him and tee him up, and again, it's directly in front of me. He puts the hand up and says, "I'm good," because it wasn't about them.
No,
he was mad at his own guys. Yeah. He's like, and why am I bothering to draw something up if you're messing up the most basic of things? Much like being a parent.
Yeah. No, absolutely. And that's why I think, if because I know, I can only imagine, I'm not going to say I know, I can only imagine the level of frustration that we were just talking about, especially when these coaches put in so much time into getting these scouting reports together, into getting them into a position where we can win this ball game if you do X, Y, and Z. So now making it 3 things. We got 3 things, guys, that I'm going to ask for you to do. And if you do these things, we're going to put ourselves in a position to win, and you're going to stay in the ball game. You got to give effort. You got to look at the scouting report and know it. Yeah. And don't turn the ball over.
Right.
And I think, and again, those things, once they started putting those things together in the Kentucky game, settled down a little bit. Okay. But we do have the latest men's AP poll out today.
I'm going to go off of, I do know where Bama is ranked.
Okay, Alabama had been number 4 last week. Mm-hmm. After splitting both games, losing the road game to Missouri, winning at home against Kentucky, which I love how we're like, well, we beat Kentucky twice in the season. Mm-hmm. That's very blasé now. Huh. Beat Kentucky twice in the season.
Still rare and special, especially when they're ranked.
Yes. I don't think it's anybody's surprise that they fall out of the top 5.
Yeah, I'm not shocked by that either.
Alabama slides to number 6. They had been at number 4. They slide down to number 6. Now, the SEC did lose one team in the top 10, so now it's 4 SEC teams that are in the top 10 instead of 5.
Right.
A&M fell out after losing to Tennessee.
Right.
This past weekend, which I spent all day watching basketball. There was some great basketball on Saturday.
Good day to do it.
I had it.
Really good day to do it.
That was a nice luxury on Saturday. Mm-hmm. But Auburn, obviously, still number 1, Duke 2, Florida 3. And then Houston 4, Tennessee 5.
Mm-hmm. I think that's accurate right now.
Yeah.
Look, if Alabama wins 3 of their last, isn't that right? 3 of their last 4.
Can you believe we're down to the final 4 regular
nuts.
Season games of the season?
It's nuts that we're at that point, but you're right. If they could find a way to win 3 of those, they'll be top 4 again, I think. Because you're playing 1,
Are they playing
1, 3, and 5. And where's Mississippi State
here's
this
what we're
week?
doing. We are ascending We start states at 24.
Yeah, you're right.
States at 24.
Mm-hmm.
Then we have Tennessee at 6.
Right.
Florida at 3.
Mm-hmm.
And then Auburn at number 1. Jim Dunaway did a great job of saying it's almost like it's like the NCAA tournament. Like they have a first round game, and then they have.
It's an inverted NCAA tournament because you're going to go
but you're
the rest of the way,
yeah.
basically. You're playing higher seeded teams as you go. Look, the SEC tournament this year, I know we got 4 big-time regular season games to go. And then you flip it to the conference tournament itself. South Carolina gets their first win. You got 4 other teams fighting to get in or improve seeding towards the bottom. You got Auburn's good, barring a total collapse, and it's not going to happen.
Florida, Tennessee, they're fine.
Florida, Tennessee, Alabama, though, are all fighting for the 1 seed.
What's more important at this point? Do you think for the teams that are fighting for that, the way they finish the regular season or the way they play in the conference tournament?
Oh.
Because if Alabama were to somehow manage to win 3 of 4 of these last games.
Look, that's big.
I mean, that would be huge.
Because of who you'll be playing.
Yeah.
I don't know. I mean, good grief. Alabama won the conference tournament 2 years ago, right? Mm-hmm. 2 years ago, won the conference tournament for the second time under Nate Oates. Got a tough draw, bad matchup for them against San Diego State, a team that lost in the national championship game, and got bounced in the Sweet 16. Last year, not only did Bama drop 2 of the last 3.
Yep.
They got bounced in. So they lost in the first round of the SEC tournament.
Yeah.
So they lost 3 of their last 4 going into the NCAAs, but got a good draw.
Yeah.
And wound up in the Final Four for the first time in school history.
And that's what I've reminded people after, Alabama's 2-game skid, because heaven forbid, we've lost 2 games in a row. But at this point last year, they hit a bit of a skid too. And listen, I get it. Of all teams, Alabama is remarkably healthy right now. When you look at other teams, they have not suffered catastrophic injury other than early on in the non-conference portion of the season.
You're right, but the only reason it's not catastrophic is because of the depth of talent.
Right.
One of the reasons they're not as efficient from 3-point range on a consistent basis, and one of the reasons they're not as good defensively, is not having Latrell Wrightsell.
Right.
Chris Youngblood's really good. Mm-hmm. Phenomenally fortunate that you've got a tough veteran. When he's on, shoots it as well as anybody. Conference Player of the Year in the AAC last year. He's a great player. But you're missing the consistent 3-point shooting of Latrell Wrightsell, who also was one of your best perimeter defenders, which makes him one of the best in the country. So that was a big loss. You also missed Houston Millette, who was going to give you another really good 3-point shooter and another good defender with some length in the backcourt. You don't have him. Darion Reed is out, and questions as to when you'll get him back. But that's another McDonald's All-American who can play probably 3 spots pretty comfortably on the floor defensively. Gave you a lot of versatility, and a guy also that could score at the rim, explosive, strong. Do you have other guys? Yeah. But what made you so good was the depth, and that's 3 guys who are in your rotation that aren't there, including one that was your best at doing what you're missing right now, which is, again, the consistency from beyond the arc, but also the consistency on the defensive end of the floor in the backcourt.
We're seeing Mark Sears play some of his best basketball, and Nate Oates has even said that both on both ends of the court he is playing some of the best basketball we've ever seen. We do, however, need a Grant Nelson or a Jaron Stevenson to step up.
Yeah.
That is something that when you look at the components of what is going to make this team better heading into not only these next 4 games, but the conference tournament and the NCAA tournament, we need someone down in the paint to step up. Now, Cliff Amore had a great game against Kentucky.
He did.
He stepped up.
11 and 15.
Yeah, like his numbers, 15 rebounds, 12 defensive rebounds, which is fantastic, but 11 points, getting double figures out of him.
Mm-hmm.
That's a bonus because we don't usually see it out of him. But
Nelson only had 5, but he had a big basket in the last 4 minutes, and I think he made 1 of 2 from the free throw line as well. So sometimes it's not just the number, it's the timing of the plays that you make.
I know, yep.
And look, I'm not defending it. To me, it shows how good this team is that you could grab a lead with Grant or have a lead at all, let alone win by 13, when a player as important as Grant Nelson only has 5 points and 3 boards. You told me going in he's going to go for 5 and 3. I wouldn't have felt real good about our chances in that game. But when you have Cliff give you 11 and 15, when Aiden Holloway goes 5 of 12 from the arc and gives you 19 points and 4 rebounds, when Mark goes for 30 and he's had 65 in his total in his last 2 ball games, then, the slack is being picked up. But, and look, Chris Youngblood's 14 points. I think 9 of those came in the last 4 minutes as well, 4.5, 5 minutes max. So the timing of their plays were very, very important. And I still believe the upside for this team is incredibly high and is good or better than anybody in the country. I don't think we've seen their best basketball yet. And they better have it, because the next 2 weeks you have some real opportunities in front of you. At the same time, you can get embarrassed if you don't take care of business.
One number I was actually, when I was looking the past 2 games over, I was looking at the box scores earlier, and I'd not been focusing on it, but I noticed today at the Missouri game, Tigers had 12 steals to Alabama's 4.
Mm-hmm.
And then if you look at Saturday's game against Kentucky, Kentucky had 13 steals to Alabama's 7. It is, that's just a number that you're like, interesting. Okay.
Yeah, turned it over too many times.
Yeah,
That's been
and again,
an issue.
the turnovers, again, they still are higher than
Right.
Nate Oates would want them. However, for a lot of us, we're looking big picture. We're like, it was a win.
But you also only turned it over 7 times against Auburn.
Yeah.
But as Nate pointed out after that game, the number was low of turnovers, but we only took it away 4 times, or really 3 takeaways of the 4 turnovers that Auburn had. You're not creating enough on the defensive end, and that's what made the 2 SEC championship teams that Nate's had so good. You had a guy defensively that could lock you down. Certainly Herb Jones. You had Brandon Miller and Noah Clowney, who were very capable defensive guys, and you had Charles Bediako in the post, who is a shot blocker. You've got a rim protector and a really good one right now in Clifford Amore, but you don't have the perimeter lockdown guy like you had with Latrell Reitzel. At times last year. Other guys are getting better. They're picking up. Mark's doing a better job in that regard. He was terrific. 11 of 11 from the free throw line was huge too. But that all being said, you got to find a way to not have some lapses like Alabama's had on that end of the floor and turning it over double-digit times. Or, again, I keep saying it, but it does go back to timing. And Bama, good grief. How many turnovers we have? 15. And it led to, thankfully, just 11 points off turnovers for Kentucky. But Bama, despite getting fewer turnovers from the Cats, Bama turned that into 24 points off turnovers.
Going back to the beginning of the game against Kentucky. For the first couple of minutes, it was back and forth, but then I think a lot of us started to get a little nervous as we felt Kentucky starting to creep further and further away. But you get to the 11:56 mark, and that's when Phelan had the alley-oop to Cliff.
Yeah.
Now, it brought him within 4 points, but it brought the environment back to life.
It did.
Because it really, for a while there, you're not only getting distracted as you're going, oh, they're going to run away with it again.
Mm-hmm.
And I think people are kind of getting lulled into complacency, and that brought them back. But, I mean, I'll be damned if not 2 minutes later, Kentucky's back up by 12.
Yeah.
I mean, that was a team where, like every team they're going to play in the next 4 games and in the conference, they're going to be capable of getting away from you in a hurry.
Yeah.
If you don't continue to lock down. And the playbook is out there right now. It's, okay, for the first 5 minutes of this game against Alabama, we're going to put everything we can, all gas, to try and score as many points as we can in the first few minutes and knock them out of the game.
Well,
Because
it certainly was effective.
spending 30 to 35 minutes of trying to play catch up.
Yeah. That's,
And you can
that's a
play
lot.
lights out basketball. I mean, and going back to Missouri, just kind of along those lines, and for a coach who loves defense, to allow Missouri to have a program record game against you, I can see where that would be demoralizing, allowing them to score 110 points.
Yes. And also, you know, the two guys that went for 30 and 26 or whatever it was were both averaging just under 13 points a game. That part's frustrating.
Yeah.
As well. You know they're capable, but you can't let them go off like that. And that's the kind of thing that gets disappointing. You got to be better, especially when you get to the NCAA tournament or the SEC tournament, because it is truly, it's one and done. You know, right now we say, well, we got to get better. Okay, you're 2 games out of first in the SEC. Maybe, you know, Auburn drops one. You control your side and your side only. If you find a way somehow to beat Mississippi State, Tennessee, and Florida, you might go into the Auburn game. You potentially could go into the Auburn game still 2 games out.
Yeah.
You could go 1 game out, tied. Ain't likely, but you could have a 1-game lead. Mm-hmm. It's not likely. But those things are all on the table if you take care of your own business.
Yeah.
But they got to go a possession at a time.
Right. That's
right
a good point.
now.
Yep. Because at least with these last 4 games, you don't have to worry about anyone losing focus, like looking
Right.
past these last 4 conference games into the conference tournament and then into the NCAA tournament. Because with the magnitude of these 4,
Mm-hmm.
2 at home, 2 on the road, it's easy to focus on the task at hand.
Right.
Because even, I know, yeah, State's coming in, they've lost 2, dropped to 24th. They still have a lot to play for at this point in terms
Right.
of trying to, you know, help their seeding and that's the lowest ranked team you're going to play. Is
Right.
tomorrow night at home.
Which, again, a team you only beat by 4 at their place.
And it's going to be
They're
physical
tough.
and it's going to be rough. And then you have Tennessee, which is going to be physical and it's going to be rough.
It's the league this year. And you're
But
right,
it's fun,
Tennessee.
isn't it?
Oh, let me tell you, it is
Can't
because
beat it with a stick, I tell you.
because you can go in from my spot. You're watching, you're calling the game, you're hoping that your team wins. But what I'm not having to deal with this year, which I have in some past years, of, you know, people are disappointed if you lose. They were disappointed after we lost to Auburn and to Missouri. I get that. And you're catching, you know, some of, well, what's wrong with the team? But I can come back quickly. Hey, we didn't play very well. We didn't play as well as we're capable of. But by the way, we did lose to the number 1 team in the country and a top 15 team.
Yeah.
Okay? There's no real shame for anybody that's keeping up with what's going on to losing to the teams that you lost to. There have been years or you can't sugarcoat it.
Oh, yeah.
And you go, we just played bad.
Right.
Well, what's wrong? I don't know. I'm just the radio guy. Don't shoot the messenger. So this is different because the games are fun. They're meaningful. You're getting with no disrespect to anyone, because I have great respect for all the guys in our business that do games and, but you're getting, the top level guys from ESPN that are coming in to do your games.
Yeah,
and
you may have had one too many the other night between
it was
Jimmy
great
Dykes,
to have
Dick Vitale.
It's great to have Dick back in there and be able. I'm just glad he's able to do the games, and it was neat to have him there. And I thought it was great that just before the introduction of the starters or the anthem, I guess it was just for the anthem, they recognized Dick Vitale before, and that was really, really cool.
I also liked how you kind of tap danced because, we're watching the Auburn-Georgia game, and then, you get the thing in the corner. Okay, we're going to push tip-off back for Alabama to, for whatever, 5-10.
That's coming.
So you're tap dancing on the radio, and you're like, let's listen in as they announce the players. I'm like, that's good. I like how you're going to set this. And you said you're like the big video board flashing, showing the highlight reel.
Thank you.
Bringing us in.
First of all, Tom Stipe does a fantastic job with our audio to make sure, whenever it's possible, we're able to not just pick up with a microphone sitting on the table, picking up the sound. Yeah. And you do the best you can when you're doing that. But Tom has the ability virtually everywhere we go, because he works hard and makes this possible. You're able to hear the basket mics.
Yeah.
You're able to pick up the PA.
Yeah, the production
most
quality
of the
is
time.
great.
He does a great job. And so for me, I'm not getting paid by the word. I'm trying to help make the experience for the listener the best it can be, and make you feel as best I possibly can that you're there. And one of the ways I can do that is just shut up and let you hear what else is going on. So I know there are a lot of things you can't see unless we tell you. But if I do lay out and let you hear the hype video, I know you can't see it, but you can hear the music and hear the stuff there. And it lets you hear some of the energy that's in the building. You hear Tony, who does a great job on the starters or wherever we go, if you're able to pick up the PA in the introduction of the starters. The home team, it's always got more juice than others. So I'm trying to help the listener feel like they're actually there. And Tom's so good with the basket mics. I try to remember, it's not television. You can't see. But when I tell you, when it's a home game, and I tell you Mark Sears for 3, and not only does Tom let you hear the string music, the string music of the Nets, but obviously, if I've done my job and emphasized the fact that we're in Tuscaloosa for that game, when there is the explosion, Bama fans are happy that it went in, that clearly the shot had to be made. So I try to let you hear and experience and enjoy that. I appreciate you saying it because it really and truly, we can't do that without Tom. And that's why I'm glad.
The Nat sound, as we call it.
Yeah.
Let the Nat sound go. And no, it was great because, I had switched over and was listening as we were waiting on the TV to eventually switch over and catch up.
Which is another thing, this is griping about it. When I saw the lineup and I saw that you had 4 games in only a 2-hour window on ESPN, there's no way they're going to get to it. And we're playing these games at this late hour, so we can get them on TV, and we never start on time. Mm-hmm. And even doing that, you never catch the beginning of the broadcast.
No.
You're 10 minutes in. It's why, with all the multiple platforms and stage, I wish we had a uniform 7 o'clock start in your time zone. Mm-hmm. Start it, especially on a weeknight.
Yeah.
I'm more okay with it on the weekends, but especially on a weeknight, 7 o'clock in your time zone.
Yep. So
And
the
you
kids
come
can stay up
on
and watch the game.
and you do a whip around type coverage, and with the streaming so prevalent, they're sending people for the start of that anyway.
Yeah.
So why not just have the game on ESPN News or ESPN
Yeah.
whatever, and available on the ESPN app?
I was thinking the same thing. Like, why don't they make it like a 2.5 hour window instead? Because when I go to record it, it asks me if I want the 30-minute extension on it. It's like, just we all know there's no way.
They're all smarter than we
Okay,
are,
anyway.
Kelly. Just ask them.
Yeah. Looking ahead to this week, tomorrow night, Tuesday
Yes, ma'am.
night, we have 24th ranked Mississippi State coming to Tuscaloosa. We remember that meeting not too long ago, where, as we said, it was a physical game. Alabama had to hold on until the last seconds of that one.
88-84, I believe.
Yeah, I was going to say, I knew it was in the mid-80s to get that win. Bulldogs are coming off 2 losses, so they're 19-8 overall, 7-7 in SEC play. But again, we know that they have not wrapped up the season and are willing to just say we're done.
That game was a 2-point game, I think, with under 12 seconds to go.
Yep.
We made a mistake. They get a steal, go in for a dunk. It's halfway down and pops out.
Oh, my gosh.
And we got the rebound, got fouled, made 2 free throws, and won it by 4. But that's, 4, if you just see the score, you know it's a close game. If you're watching, you know how close it was. That was a great win, especially at that time. And you're going to need an even better performance to get them this time in Tuscaloosa.
And then on Saturday, go ahead and get out your eye black or your sunglasses or whatever you're going to need with all of the orange. But I do love that they've named the court the Summit. So they're going to be playing Tennessee Volunteers Saturday afternoon, 3 p.m., which is a good time slot. A Rick Barnes coach team is always going to be, as we keep saying, tough and physical. But
you're probably right. But I think that's earlier than 3, and I'm not positive. Anyway, I'm only saying that. So I want them to go back and confirm. I want everybody to go back and confirm.
I'm not always right.
You're the
And
one
I
that
know
actually.
I usually.
No, you probably are. I would trust you over me.
But if
However,
you're looking to find more of the person who's usually right, you can always go to Chris Stewart.
do not say usually.
.online, because he's usually right, which is why.
I'm trying to pull this up here now. So
3.
I can,
Wait. Scott Forrester is confirming that it is 3.
I'll be there regardless. Whenever we play it, I should have known. I should have known to trust you, and I apologize.
And that's why Scott's the best in the business. I mean, even though when I sent a text to y'all yesterday, hey, are we good for today? And you write back, yes, ma'am. And he's like one of my teenagers where I get a, yup. That's it.
Could have been worse.
3 letters, yup.
It could have been worse.
You know.
Coming from him.
But thank you for always bringing the energy, the entertainment, as well as being correct.
Letting me know when my game
Scott
is.
Forrester. Well, yeah. We'll write it on your hand like it's swim meets.
They've got 12 or 3 on the game notes.
Well, I just
still. It may have been set today. That's probably what it was.
It probably was, and I just happened to look at the right time. So a thank you to Scott Forrester for always bringing the funk for us there. All your needs and questions can be answered at Cover Crimson and every single day with Jim, Ryan, and Lance on the next round. We got to thank you for watching. For Scott Forrester, for Chris Stewart, voice of Crimson Tide Athletics, I'm Kelly Hunter. We're grateful that you were here. And Chris, before we go,
Roll Tide.
have a great week. We'll see you next time.